So as we close out another week in Project 70, one thing is becoming very, very clear. To get to the highs, we must get through the lows first. And it just feels like we're home. It feels like we just have everything back together. The final piece to the puzzle is now there, but most importantly, the connection between the artist and the subject is through the roof in this card. And this is why I want to give it away for free. And there is still time right now to go back and watch that Wednesday video. And of course, watch the videos back as much as you want, regardless of the print run contest. But that print run guest for that Coco Chris must be posted on that video by the time the buying window ends tomorrow morning around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So do not be late. Get that print run guest in now. Welcome to episode number 18. My name is Chris, otherwise known on Twitter and Instagram is at CRT_sportscards. And my website is your #1 resource for Project 70, and that is just CRTsportscards.com. And if you want to take this conversation deeper into the next level, join us on Discord. My channel is just CRT Sports Cards. You can check out the link below in the description, but that is where I'm moving a lot of my communication around Project 70 and these videos specifically. Now, before we get too deep into the whole of Project 70 today, talking about the Thursday and the Friday cards, there is something that we as a community must celebrate, and that is the 1-year anniversary of Project 2020. March 25th, 2020 is when you could purchase the Ichiro by Ben Baller and or the Sandy Koufax by Jacob Rochester for just $19.99 or $35, I believe was the 2-pack price. But those cards have gone up in value basically ever since 1 year ago yesterday. I was a little surprised that Topps didn't put anything out on Twitter or Instagram, or if they did, I completely missed it. But when you think about how far we have come from Project 2020 to now Project 70, art cards on demand was something we never even really thought about. But here's the thing that makes me the most excited when I think about blowing out the candle on Project 2020's 1-year anniversary, and that is just a community that has been built around these now 2 sets. The community has been just fantastic. I have met so many interesting people over the past year, and I've been forever thankful for everyone's support. At the same time, the community around these cards has just been tremendous. Whether you like certain artists or you don't like certain artists, I cannot imagine what the hobby would be like right now without Project 2020 releasing 1 year ago yesterday. And so while Project 2020 did have some just incredible highs, hello Memorial Day, and then also followed up with some really, really bad lows, when you think about highs this week in Project 70, let's take a look at the Monday print runs. That Lauren Taylor Lou Gehrig leading the way on Monday, 7,138. Second, that Ichiro by Quicks, 5836. And then, unfortunately, a little low here, Johnny Bench by Natural, just 2,990. Now moving over to the Tuesday cards. Now this is when we get low. Joe Adele by King Saladin, 2,927. But that's not the real story here. The story is Tyson Beck, Jose Canseco, 1,726. And Mattingly by Claw Money, 1,952. So that puts that Canseco and that Claw Money Don Mattingly right now as the lowest and the 3rd lowest printed cards in the set. But what does that mean right now? Absolutely nothing. As I theorized on the Wednesday show, those Tuesday cards were immediately overshadowed just 24 hours after they released, because one of the most ultimate highs that we will ever see in the hobby again is the return of Mickey Mantle with Topps. And having Joshua Vides release his first Mickey Mantle card in 9 years, or the first Mantle card, sorry, in 9 years, just completely overshadowed the cards. So we will see what happens on the secondary market with these 2 cards in the coming weeks. Of course, we did see an immediate spike in value on Distorted, really, really low Pedro Martinez. When that happened, that of course card has come back down in value a little bit, but we will see what happens. But I think the most important thing here when you think about highs here is just how fast the shipping has become from Topps. And this is a card that we are going to see in our houses in the next couple of weeks, because today in the mail I received my Craig Biggio by Fucci, and it feels like just yesterday we were talking about the card on a video and giving it away for free, and this Sunday that card is headed out to the winner. So thank you again, Toms, for the continued, I would say, ultra fast shipping on these cards. Because on my orders, I always do Smart Post, and being in Seattle, that means they go the slowest way possible, and these cards are still reaching my front doorstep in record time. And speaking about contests here and giving away free cards, congratulations to Max Color, the person who won that Lauren Taylor Lou Gehrig for me. Their print run guess, 7,134, was the closest, as that print run came in at 7,138. And I will have to say, you guys are getting really, really good at this. The last winner, of course, was on the number exactly. This card was 4 numbers off, so very, very good job here. And I cannot wait to give away another free card on the Friday releases. Now, what I really want to do right now is give away one of these Thursday cards that released yesterday for free, because I think one of these cards is just going to have a monster print run, and I mean that in a very positive way, not in a way to scare you, but this is an interesting card to see where it's going to land from a print run scale perspective. But on Thursday, of course, we had Alex Pardee release his second card in his Brightmare set. We had him take on Mike Trout. Second, we had Jeff Staple release his second card of his Subway Series with that Mike Piazza, but this time in a Mets uniform. And then, of course, we have CES releasing his Thurman Munson. This, of course, is also Thurman Munson's second card in the set. But when you take a look at that Mike Trout specifically here by Alex Pardee, there really isn't much to say about this card. It's going to print high. There is a ton of positive press behind it. Alex Pardee has the fan base right now of Project 70. There really isn't, like I said, much to say about the card other than it's going to sell high. The question is, will it beat 15,000? Could this card even top 20,000 copies sold? That number feels like a monster number right now when you think about Lauren Taylor just selling 7,000, but we're going to find out in the next couple of days just how high this print run goes. But now taking a little bit deeper of a dive here when it comes to Jeff Staple in his Mike Piazza card. Thankfully here we have Mike Piazza in a Mets uniform, and I think this brings up a bigger point of Project 70. I think at times we need to ignore the team on the card and enjoy the player, but that's strictly my personal opinion when it comes to that. I know there's so much Yankee and Dodger hate right now, but I think take a look at the player, ignore the team. But here are some cool things with this card. Of course, we have, again, since it's the Subway Series, this is the Subway look. You have the tile mosaic of Piazza and, of course, of the subway station. That is Willets Point. That is just a 12-minute walk to Shea Stadium. So I can only presume if you're a New Yorker taking a look at that card, it puts you in a direct moment in your city as you're about to go to a Mets game. So I think this card works for the fan it is targeted to. And then releasing third on Thursday is the card that kind of, I think, really put life into perspective in a small way for me. And of course, this is CES with his Thurman Munson. This is Thurman Munson's second card in the set. His first one, of course, was that black and white card by Joshua Vides. But it was interesting for me from this perspective. I, up until last night, didn't really know much about Thurman Munson. I just knew that he passed away at an early age and he played for the Yankees. That was really all that I knew about him. But when I saw the halo over his head on CES's card, and as you know, I'm a massive fan of 71 Topps, and I don't care that there are only one non-Yankee right now of the 5 71 Topps cards in the set, I said, I need to learn more about Thurman Munson. And I learned last night, of course, he passed away at 32. I did know that he passed away in an airplane. I did not know that he was the one piloting the airplane. And of course, it appears by all the stories that the way that he piloted the plane down saved his 2 friends. But when you think about it, Thurman Munson was only 32 years old when he passed away. I'm 38. And when I think about that, I think about the fact of his life ending so early, and yet the fact that he was so good at baseball. In his 10-year career, he was a 7-time All-Star, He won the World Series 2 times, an AL MVP, Rookie of the Year, and a 3-time Gold Glove winner. And now, outside of Mike Trout, when it comes to All-Star appearances, of course, Mike Trout has not won a World Series in his career yet. I find it really hard to compare Thurman Munson's accomplishments in 10 years to any modern day player in the game. So this card really just put kind of everything in perspective to think about how fragile life is. In one split-second decision, all of this changes in a moment's notice. And so I'm not trying to get too deep here, but I got down a real deep rabbit hole last night reading about Thurman Munson, reading about his career, and reading about the way he passed. And it just really put a different spin on Thurman Munson for me, because I really, like I said, didn't know who he was before last night. And now I really think I'm going to be collecting him in Project 70 because something about it just clicks with me, and I want to celebrate and know more about him as the year goes by. And so now let's try to brighten the mood just a little bit here. Let's talk about the Friday cards, because when you take a look at the Friday cards, it's very, very difficult to get down on any of them because they have some interesting features of them. And one of the cards, I really get sort of a mixture of 2 Project 2020 artists on the card for this Project 70 version. But first up, we have, whether you want it upside down or right side up, you got F. with his Ozzie Smith. And of course, welcome to Project 70, Ozzie Smith. We have Infinite Archives with their Cody Bellinger. Thankfully, somebody did 1991 Topps. And then we have Soulfly following up their Albert Pujols with Roberto Clemente. And so tackling this Roberto Clemente by Soulfly first. When you take a look at the card, what 2 Project 2020 artists come to your mind when you see this card? For me, personally, it was a mixture of Sophia Chang. You've got a lot of description, a lot of history of Clemente on the card, and I always said Sophia Chang's cards were very much about teaching you something about the player, and taking a look at this Clemente, you can learn something about him. And then the second artist here is F. I got a real colorful feel to the card, so it did really feel like a Sophia Chang plus F. equals a Soulfly Roberto Clemente. And now speaking about F. releases his second card. This time, of course, it is Ozzie Smith's first card in Project 70. And again, have to give F. credit here. He, just like Sophia Chang, who we spoke about just a second ago, is continuing to show us more and more range in their cards compared to what we saw in Project 2020. I, of course, did pick up his Michael Jack Schmidt, his first card in Project 2020, or actually Project 70, excuse me, and I'll be picking up this Ozzie Smith. But the question here is for the Cardinal fans, is this going to be a card you purchase? This card embodies everything you would think about when it comes to Ozzie Smith. His entrance onto the diamond, the backflips, multiple backflips. You have the Cardinal. You can look at Ozzie Smith upside down or right side up. It doesn't matter because the Wizard always got the ball to first base. And so are you going to purchase this card like I think you should if you're a Cardinals fan? And then closing out the week for us is going to be Infinite Archives, following up their Jackie Robinson with Cody Bellinger. And Cody Bellinger is represented in 1991 Topps. For anyone who doesn't know, 1991 Topps is the very first set I ever bought at a card show when I was 9 or 10 years old. I don't remember how old I was. It was right after release, but I remember buying it at a gymnasium from the dealer after the card show for I think like $40. There was also a pinball game I used to play at an arcade all the time as a kid, and I can't think of the name right now, but if you Google it, you can figure it out. That used to disperse in 1991 Topps when you got high scores or you got, a combination, whatever it was in pinball. So 1991 Topps is probably the set of any Topps release here that is near and dear my early childhood when it comes to collecting baseball cards. So this card is going to be an automatic buy for me. I'm picking up all 91 Topps cards, and of course, you remember I did hit that Jackie Robinson Gold one of Archives. So this one is very simple. This is going to be one I collect also. But the question here is, if I'm collecting 91 Topps Bellinger, if I'm buying the F. I guess I have to give away the Roberto Clemente by Soulfly. So right now in the comments below, leave that guess on that Clemente. The person closest to the print run without going over will win a free copy of the card. But remember, you must be subscribed to the channel to qualify for that promotion. And now for me, over the weekend, on Sunday morning, I will be releasing for the 4th consecutive week pricing on all Project 70 cards that are live, both the base card and the foil version. Hopefully you have found that information valuable for when it comes to buying these cards on the secondary market. So check out the website, crtsportscards.com, for all of that information. And with that, have a fantastic weekend. Buy the cards you want from the Topps.com website. Hopefully you find a rainbow foil or a gold border this weekend in your mail. And I will see you all back here on Monday night for episode number 19 of the Project 70 Show.